don't you just love the beach? The surf, the sand, the people. You know, here in SoCal, we have it pretty good. And when it comes to the beach, we are really spoiled. But if we go back about 10 million years ago, this beach would actually be way up inland. And all this, well, this would be underwater. How do we know this, you ask? Well, we know this because it's what the Sands of Time tell us. Behold, the Sands of Time. Okay, so it's not magical or anything, but it is still quite special. That's because all these fossils are here from the Oso Sands. The Oso Sands is a member of the Capistrano Formation, which was deposited around 4.5 to 10 million years ago during the Pliocene. It all depends on where you put your shovel. Now, judging by the looks on some of your faces, I can see we need a little lesson in stratigraphy. Beneath the surface on which we walk lies many different layers of earth, which geologists like to call strata, the singular version being stratum. These strata are composed of different kinds of sedimentary rock or soil that vary depending on the events that occurred when the layer was deposited. Like, let's say, a volcano exploded and left a layer of ash. Each stratum is a unit that, when piled on top of each other in successive order, makes up what scientists like to call a stratigraphic column. The different layers are then grouped together in what are called formations, and in turn, the formations are made up of more layers known as members. Did you get all that? Okay, so back to the Oso Sands. As I said earlier, this mix of yellow-gray siltstone and white sandstones is very special because it tells us that when it was deposited back in the Pliocene, that much of Orange County was submerged beneath the waves. All we have to do is look at the evidence. And by evidence, I mean fossils. Now, many strata layers aren't very fossiliferous. Actually, some don't have any at all. But the Oso Member is chock full of mineralized bones of ancient sea beasts. We got fish, sharks, mollusks, pinnipeds, seabirds, and whales. Boy, do we have some whales. In fact, the Oso Member is internationally recognized as the second most significant collection of Miocene marine mammals. Cool, isn't he? This handsome guy above me is a modern sea lion. On today's ocean coasts, you can find sea lions just about anywhere. But if you look in the fossil record for the Oso Sands, you can't find a single trace of these guys. Instead, we find the bones of their older relatives. Like this Amagataria here. Amagataria are an ancient group of walruses. That's right, folks, walruses that used to swim down the southern Californian coasts. They are called Amagataria, which means imaginary sea lion, because unlike modern walruses, they lacked the large signature tusks they are known for, and their bodies looked more like sea lions than they did walruses. Being first described in 1968, fossils of these guys have been found down the southern Californian coast in places like Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, LA, and Orange County, where the most complete Amagataria skeleton can be found down at the Cooper Center. Internet, I'd like to introduce you to the fossil celebrity, Waldo. Waldo, meet the internet. He's not very talkative, which kind of sucks because he has quite the story to tell. But here's the summary for you. Waldo here was found in the Lake Forest area. When he was excavated, he really surprised the paleo community because he was about 90% complete, something rare for any fossil specimen. Based on where he was found, Waldo lived around 8 million years ago near the end of the Miocene, and presumably lived a long but challenging life. We can tell from the arthritis signs and scars on his bones. Strangely, the entire left side of his body is smaller than his right, and it is thought that he suffered from some sort of congenital disease. I imagine Waldo as the scrappy young walrus who fought his way to becoming a powerful beach master. Kind of like a movie, right? Anyway, it's fossils like Waldo and the absence of fossils of modern species that not only tell us what the land looked like, but also paints a picture of the diversity of animals that existed at the time and lets us see how things have changed. But in order to paint the big picture, and I mean big, we need to look at a different group of animals. Now, if there's any animal that's going to give us hard evidence that the OC was once underwater, it would be the whales. I mean, come on, they're whales. They need to be in the water all the time, and there's no mistaking a whale. And these aren't your average SeaWorld whales. Whales back in the Miocene were way different. Today, it's easy to recognize the dolphins and porpoises and baleen whales like the humpback and gray whales. But back in the Miocene of the Oso Sands, there was another group of whales known as the cetatheres. This jaw belongs to a cetathere much smaller than usual, known as the herpetocetine. The cetatheres have been used as a kind of wastebasket group to hold all the primitive baleen whales that don't fit in with any of the modern groups. Like I said, the fossils of these animals can help us better understand the past, especially the primitive baleen whales. But a lot more work has to be done on the Oso Sands and the cetatheres, so we'll get back to you on that once we've done the research. So I hope you learned something, and next time you're at the beach, think back about what used to be here and you might appreciate the beach a little bit more. See you next time on Prep Squad!